All right, welcome back to a new YouTube segment. We're going to be trying this out. I got this idea from Dave Castro, so shout out to you, Dave, for this idea. I've been watching this concept he's posted on his channel for almost a whole year now, and that is a week in review. Not week in review, but a week in review. And the idea is to show a raw, unedited, just one-take cut of what I did this week, the ups, the downs as it relates to business or fitness or teaching, coaching, whatever the case may be, life in general, to talk about it, but also to do kind of an integrated Q&A behind it. So any questions we have from this video, I will answer next week. I've got some questions for today we're going to be covering, like will I be competing again? But any questions on this video going forward, we'll be answering. Now, what about the location? Seems kind of like a weird spot, right? Well, this is in my office in our future house. So I decided it'd be kind of a cool time lapse to do this video in hopefully the same spot week in and week out. And that way you can see the house being built behind me and hopefully eventually see me actually in my office in the future. So let's jump into it. So we're going to do a Q&A first, right? So the first question I got, I kind of posted this in YouTube, but also on Instagram, was would I be competing again from Mickey Factory? Weird names. Currently, right now, I'm sure you're asking from a general overarching perspective, and you're probably focusing on CrossFit. I'm going to answer from a overarching perspective and competing again. So currently, right now, I compete in the tactical games, which is a mixture of, think of like biathlon, right? Biathlon is cross-country skiing, very aerobically based, right? Long cross-country skiing, but then rimfire, rifle 22s, shooting on small targets. If you miss, you get penalty laps, right? Biathlon, Olympic sport. Great sport. I've not really watched it, to be honest, but I now compete in a version of that, and that is the tactical games. Now, we're not cross-country skiing, right? But the fitness perspective of it is very similar to CrossFit. I would call it more functional fitness, meaning we're not doing a whole lot of gymnastics movements. We're not doing, double unders, or we're not doing muscle ups. We're not doing high-skill gymnastics or high-skill barbell like snatch. But think if like I took you to a dirt field and I was like, hey man, we're gonna do some fitness here. What would we do, right? We'd pull sleds, flip tires maybe. We don't flip tires in tactical games, but I'm trying to give you some examples. We'd pull sleds, tires, burpees, we'd run, we'd move a lot of sandbags, do a lot of farmer's carries, and that's essentially kind of the general concept of what we do for the tactical games. And then we involve that with pistol and rifle. So we shoot on targets for accuracy based, but we do it with having a really high heart rate. So the concept is kind of attacks the 10 physical general skills of CrossFit. It attacks the accuracy part, right? So it says, hey, you've got a high heart rate, whether it's, you've been doing a work for a while, aerobically based, or you've been doing it like a sprint concept and aerobically based, you've got a high heart rate. And now I need you to pull out a firearm, whether it's your pistol or rifle, and take accurate shots on target. And those can be from various distances, right? The pistol can be really close, the rifle can be really long, or vice versa. Ratio-wise for the firearm. But essentially, that's what I compete in right now. So not any plans on coming back to CrossFit for the time being. The next question is going to be, would you consider doing Masters? I've got a few more years till I am a Masters. For right now, I'm focusing on the tactical games kind of perspective and competing in coaching and teaching and programming for that. And then if at some point I want to come back to Masters, I might consider it. I might also consider a team. That's also a perspective that's been brought up to me. We'd actually did team Wadapalooza last year with, it was supposed to be a Pancheck team. They had, I think Saxon backed out, and so I subbed in. It was me, Spencer, and Scott. And then Scott had some shoulder issues, and so he had to back out. So it was me, Spencer, and Tudor Magda. That was a fun team. I really enjoyed that. I think we took 5th overall in the elite division of Wadapalooza. It's kind of cool to do that. But every now and again, I'll probably jump in. I don't have any plans right now of doing teams specifically, only because I don't have a team here for me. That's not to say that one can't show up and I can't do it in the future, but for right now, I don't have any plans for that, but we will see. Would I continue, do I keep coaching competitive CrossFit athletes? Well, I'm not really sure the question, but am I still coaching competitive CrossFit athletes? So I was coaching Olivia, and I decided to actually step back, and it was a hard decision, not gonna lie, but the decision was, hey, you need someone fully focused on you. You need someone that's actually looking into your programming, doing more, and it was so much work that I was like, I don't think I can do as good a job as you need from someone right now. and from me right now. And so we just kind of sat down, had the discussion. It was a tough discussion, right? And decided, hey, I think we should shop around essentially and find someone's good fit for you. And we kind of narrowed it down to about 3 or 4, and we did some more talking about it. And she decided to pick Shane Orr and Dwight and Nick over at Proven. And that's obviously been a phenomenal fit for her. I know she really enjoys it. It's been a blessing. She did a phenomenal job at the games this year. And it was really cool working with their team there in person and getting to hang out with Shane and Dwight and Nick more in person. That was a huge blessing. But she's doing really, really well over there. As opposed to, am I continuing to coach competitive athletes? Right now, no. The only really coaching per se, coaching, more like programming, that I'm currently doing is I still have Grip Performance, and we do morning mono, which is a really popular program that is like row, bike, ski. It's very aerobically, anaerobically, endurance-based, machine-only, simplistic, no skill work required. As long as you can fall down and stand back up from a burpee, you can do the programming. So for right now, I'm not really coaching any competitive CrossFit athletes. So anyways, that's kind of the questions we kind of answered there. Let's talk about week in review, right? So what we did this week. Earlier this past weekend, it is now September, what is today? Gosh, the 17th, I think, or the 18th? Last weekend, we were actually out in San Francisco for about 4 to 5 days. So I traveled around the country. I've done this about 4 times now. I'm a part of a company. It's called Extremis Performance, and we travel around the continent of the United States, and we work inside local SWAT departments, and we kind of focus down and help them out via a 2-day course. Usually can be a 3-day, can be a 1-day, most times a 2-day, from the fitness and the shooting side. So the gym and the range, and we try to correlate them together. So what do I do first, and then we'll kind of describe what the company does overarching. So what I do is I come in, and I'm the fitness guy, right? So I'm the guy that comes in. We sometimes get to go into a gym, get them on a barbell, and I get to say, hey, Kate, let's watch your guys' form. Let's talk about power cleans. Let's talk about front squats, deadlifts. These are all movements, basic push-pull, press movements that they're probably doing from a fitness perspective for their job, but I try to make sure they're doing it correctly. So we take them into a gym, I watch them power clean, I critique, we talk about form, we watch them front squat, do a similar perspective, watch them deadlift, do a similar perspective. And so that's what I recommend and what I come in and do. And I also come in and teach kind of the monostructural base too, rowing, biking perspective, kind of conditioning, and how they should use that to approach their job. Because the big overarching concept behind the company is the correlation between general physical preparedness, or GPP, and SPP, specialized physical preparedness. And so what we try to do as an overarching company is come in and teach them that as SWAT, as law enforcement, as whatever, they should be doing programming specifically built for them because their job requires it, instead of doing GPP. So what's the difference, right? CrossFit in general is going to be more GPP, right? That your general class you go to is GPP, right? It's going to be, you're going to do sprints one day, long runs the next, back squat one day, bench press the next, right? It's going to be, the rep schemes are going to be all over the place. You're going to be just kind of a GPP program. SPP is when it's specialized and it's focused on one concept or one goal in mind, or with a goal in mind for a specific person or career or job, whatever the case may be. And so like a CrossFit Games athlete is doing specific programming for their goal of making it to the CrossFit Games or doing better. That is SPP. They might be doing very similar programming to a CrossFit gym, but it's probably tweaked for going to the games. So what we do is we come into SWAT departments and teach that SPP, right? They should be doing things that specifically get them better and tailor them for their job. And so one perspective is like, hey, how often do you get in a foot chase that lasts, 3 to 5 miles from a SWAT or from a law enforcement perspective? Probably not very often. You probably can count it on like 2 fingers or 3 fingers. And so the concept is, okay, if you're not getting in calls or situations where you're having to run long distance like that, then why are you training 3-mile or 5-mile runs? You should be training specifically for your job. Now, again, there's nothing wrong with running long distance every now and again, but that shouldn't be a huge focus. It should be focused on your job specifically. So we go in and also do a lot of agility, work with them from the agility perspective, hearkening back to the days of us doing football, right? If you played football or high school sport, doing L drills and T drills and down back downs and shuttle runs and getting them to be more agile, because usually their job requires that movement with a firearm perspective. So we do a lot of agility drills with them, but also it mainly focuses on specialized or SPP programming for them. So that's in Extremis Performance. If you want more information, feel free to ask more questions. So did that. I got a board right here, sorry. Did that. We also, obviously from the other perspective, I've been more involved in the, I'm gonna use this word. I don't like this word, but I'm gonna use it. The tactical side. So obviously I coach in that perspective or teach in that perspective. I also program for the tactical games. And even though the word tactical is in it, and even though I just said the word tactical, I don't really like using that. It's more like the firearm space from my perspective, because what we're doing for In Extremis and what I'm doing in programming for the tactical games is not really tactics based. It is programming specifically for them from a base level of fitness to make them better at their job. And then kind of the segue into that is I also coach for the tactical games or program for the sport. I do all their online programming for them. And so I tend to focus on, the base level fitness, getting them prepared for the CrossFit games, for the tactical games from the fitness side of things, so that when they show up and they compete, they do a lot better. So anyways, gosh, I think that is about it. The last thing is Saturday today, I think, Saturday, Sunday. And I'm preparing. Today was spent a lot of preparing. I have people that come in and actually I teach and coach from CrossFit, but also for shooting. So I have people come in today and I have people come in tomorrow, and I teach a lot of basic firearms training, movement, shooting, holding, grip, stance, whatever the case may be. I recently learned over the past 2 or 3 years, and so I have the ability to teach others from the base level because, heck, that's something that I had to teach myself or learn from experts recently. And so I do a lot of that. And then we're preparing for the South Carolina Tactical Games, which is the next weekend. I'll be out in Barnwell, South Carolina next Thursday through Sunday, competing at my third event for the Tactical Games this year. So I'm stoked for that. So I've been training for that quite a bit. There's a lot of This is my first time doing this, so you'll have to let me know in the comments down below what I did and did not do a good job at this. But anyways, that's pretty much it for the week. A lot of business stuff in there. Obviously, I'll cover that in the next video. There's almost too much to cover in one video. I kind of want to keep this short for this one. But again, if you have questions, please let me know. I'm trying out a new concept. I know it might be a little bit difficult to listen to. So if the audio is off, if the spot's off, please let me know. I can take constructive criticism really, really well. But I kind of wanted to open this forum up as a Q&A. So if you have questions, put in the comments down below. I will answer them next week, as many as I can. Obviously, I can't answer a crap ton of them. Other than that, have a wonderful day, and we'll talk to you guys later. See ya.